once again for tuning in today to the Keith Harris Show Global Network right here on Hotline Radio. Now, we got the man in the building. The host of his own radio show. He's also the award-winning writer, producer, director. I know he's done some acting too as well. He's the horror scene king. Doing the makeup and the effects and all of that. Without any further ado, Thomas J Churchill. How you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you. What an intro, huh? What an intro. Thank you very much. It's good to be here, Keith.
You're very welcome. Hey, you know what, Thomas? I got to do it right? Like you the radio host too, so I try not to fall short, right?
Oh, stop! I'm only following you because you're the king here.
Oh man. Hey, look. First of all, congratulations so far on all your past and your present work and things like that you've been doing. And I just want to ask you right now, as we said before, are you looking forward to Thanksgiving coming up, or are you going to be working through it, or?
Well, yeah, I'll probably take the day off and relax a little bit and enjoy the day. But probably half of the day I'll go back into writing. I'm what you call a workaholic, and I'm constantly working, constantly plugging away. Maybe I should stop, but I guess they say you go rest when you're dead, right? So I got to keep going.
Hey, yeah. I try to keep that one as my work ethic too. As long as you're around, you can do something. Now, speaking of the dead, as a matter of fact, Thomas, which now let's go into you do. Is it the effects that you do? We'll go into the films later, but are you into the special effects or the makeup side? What are you doing on that end?
Well, I pretty much, I write, I produce, I direct. The makeup effects, I leave for the big guys. I usually have, I've been working with SOTA, S-O-T-A effects for the last few projects. Roy Kinnearum and his team, I met with them when I was a special guest on their television series on the Sci-Fi Network called Monster Man. Mm-hmm. And we hit it off pretty good. And Roy worked on Lazarus, Day of the Living Dead. Oh, excuse me, we got a new title. We got a new title for it now, so it's called Hollywood Apocalypse. So Roy worked on that, and sorry for my dogs.
You all right? You all right?
And we hit it off pretty good, and we started working on other things, and his family, and they pretty much handle the effects from this day out, from current films out. I mean, in the past we had I worked with Edward X. Young and his team, who he also has actually a role in two of the films that I produced. We'll talk about them later, but that was it. I don't really handle the effects now. Okay.
Now, you started out, all right? When you first, got in to the film industry or to the horror industry, how did you do that? Did you come in acting first a little bit and then go into writing, or how?
Well, it's very, that's like a few part question there, answers, for that question. I always wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be in this business as an actor. That was my joy. But coming from the neighborhood where I lived, which was Glendale, New York, in Queens, and then there wasn't a lot of opportunities for a young guy. There was no film industry there. There was more. New York is more of a Broadway town. So I convinced my father to buy me a video camera, because I think if I make my own stuff, I can act in my own stuff, my own films, and then I can showcase my own talent. But during the process of the very first movie that we made, The War Master, I fell in love. I fell in love with that whole process of behind the scenes, of creating, of writing, of producing, of directing, and I ended up falling in love in that direction, and I ended up doing the writing, producing, and directing until couple of years ago when we did The Emerging Past, and I took a small little role, and then I did another film that I produced, and I had a bigger role. I played a sheriff in, but it wasn't until Lazarus, a.k.a. Hollywood Apocalypse, where I actually stood back in front of the camera in a principal role in the movie, and it came full circle. Yeah. So it started off wanting to be an actor and just went into a different direction.
Okay, yeah, and like you say, because War Master, as you say, that was pretty much your first project, right?
Very first project, 17 years old.
Yeah.
And now the world will get a chance to see it on when Hollywood Apocalypse comes out on DVD and Blu-ray. We have it's included in it. It's part of the supplementary stuff. You would end up getting the chance to see the first movie. We're going to start doing that. Every movie that we put out, you're going to get a chance to see the old versions of movies, pretty much my past with the present. Okay. So with The War Master, you'll see Hollywood Apocalypse, you'll see The War Master. When the Emerging Past Director's Cut comes out, you'll see the original version of Emerging Past that I did when I was 20 years old. So that's going to be included. We got like a little DVD series going on about the past and the present.
Yeah, because as a matter of fact, was it Fear or Pain? I think it was Fear or Pain. That was your first horror film, right?
Huh?
What was your which one? Which was which was?
Yeah, like you're right. The Fear of Pain was my first horror film. I did that when I was 20 years old, and that will be. Wow, Keith, you really done. That's pretty good.
Hey.
I'm impressed because The Fear of Pain, we're actually talking about redoing it in a bigger scale, and it's going to be a little different than the original version. Well, pretty much a lot different. But the original version of The Fear of Pain will be released on one of the next upcoming movies that are coming out. So yeah, The Fear of Pain was indeed the very first horror film I ever did. And I fell in love with it. Well, not with that project, but just fell in love with making a horror movie.
Right.
And then we ended up doing an original version of The Emerging Past, which was, 1990.
Oh,
and,
man.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
It was like a complete lifetime ago.
And so, like you say, go ahead.
Yeah, watching it, it's just weird, but it's fun.
Now, and I know, you've done so much, so it might be a little hard with Fear of Pain to kind of remember, but y'all putting it back out. But, is that title, is that the basis? I mean, when you talk about pain, is there some torture going to be going on in this film, or like are the bones breaking? Like,
no, The Fear of Pain is pretty much the original version.
Mm-hmm.
There was a vampire and a psycho that beat up, and pretty much The Fear of Pain would be ended up the people that's trapped between those two, because somebody's going to get hurt. You got a psycho that's out of his mind who escaped from an institute, and they all end up at a house that's owned by a vampire. So. Somebody, one's picking one off because he's just great, needs to live, and the other one is just picking the other people off because it's just his way of life. So the fear of pain would be something what you would feel because nobody wants to get hurt.
Right. That's what made me ask that question, because a lot of movies, a lot of horror movies have different titles. They're metaphorically speaking and everything else. But when you talk about the fear of pain, that's pretty much self-explanatory. It's pain, like, you know what I mean. And I'm a fan of I can watch the guts and things like that fly out, in horror movies. But when it comes to just pain and things twisting off, those are the ones that really get me, Thomas. So.
Yeah. You're talking about like the Hostel movies and all that stuff, like Saw and all that other stuff, like those things?
Yeah, like I can't watch Saw.
I mean, everybody always you gotta understand horror is a genre.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like your action, your horror, your romantic comedy, your comedies, your dramas, horror. Under the horror banner, you have psychological thrillers. You got slasher movies. You got suspense movies, and then you got a thing called torture porn.
Okay.
Now, torture porn is where your hostels, your saws, which is a lot of blood, a lot of guts, a lot of bones breaking, all that fun stuff is happening under that. I'm not saying it's a bad genre, but my films I haven't explored that genre yet because I love the fact of psychological thrillers and suspense movies. I love doing, of course, gore adds to the fact, blood and gore and guts, but I'm more into how it all happened and not so much gratuitous.
Okay.
More of, here it is. You need blood and guts, but it is what it is.
Yeah, okay, good. So because I can watch your films, because some other ones like holy moly, I don't know, but all right, now going into it, stop me if I pronounce it wrong, but I know it's the zombie epic, like you say, Lazarus, but is that the one you changed the name to? You were saying?
Yeah, it's called Lazarus Day of the Living Dead, but we just got a title change. Lazarus Day of the Living Dead just won, back in May, it won 2 awards. It won Best Horror Film and Best Makeup at the New York City International Film Festival.
Right.
But, but they changed the title. There's a huge store chain that is going to be picking up the film.
Okay.
And they requested it. I guess maybe for religious reasons. I don't know. But in the beginning, I was a little upset with the title change. But it grew on me. So I'm okay. I'm completely okay with Hollywood Apocalypse.
Right. Well,
it is what it is. Some people, films get changed all the time. So I don't get married to the business, to the work. It's work. It's my work. It's what I do. I don't fall in love with every project, because if I fell in love with every project, I would never let it go. I would never release it. Right. So therefore, I make a film for it to be released so we can move on, and it's a film, it's a product, it's a business. You do what you do and you move on.
And you keep going.
If you fall in love with your work, then you're always going to be stuck, and you're not going to...
you won't want to release anything, and...
You're not going to want to release anything.
Yeah. Now, okay, when you get ready to do these films, and when you start writing, first of all, which one is your favorite passion? I know you love them all. You do them all well. But what do you like most between the writing and the acting? Which one is your favorite?
I don't know. Each one, I wear a different hat, and I find my passion in each one. Like when I'm writing something, it's just me and the computer and my brain.
Okay.
And I'm creating worlds, I'm creating characters, I'm creating situations, and I feel the passion, and it's calling me. And then after the script is done or the story is done, I put on my producing hat, and then I feel my passion with trying to bring what was written to life, finding those locations, finding those actors, finding those characters I creating that world, a living, breathing world in front of me. And then when I become a director, the passion is there again, where you're bringing that world to life in front of you. You're directing these actors and these situations to bring what you created, months prior to life. And then as an actor, the passion is there because you slip and get lost in a character that was created, that you created down the road, whether it's I created it or not, but you're slipping into that character and you're losing who you are, and you're living in that moment as that person in his world.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, it does.
So
it does. And
so, yeah, I like them all. I mean, it's great.
With that being said, I mean, it does, because getting lost in the character obviously is really good, when it comes to, being in front of the camera, because you want to play that role as best as you can. Now, I guess as long as nobody like goes home and takes that character home with them at night and, turns into that. But now, do you feel as though after you finish writing a film and you get to write your character, and then you go play it out, do you feel like that makes it any easier to do, because when you created that character, you kind of know what to expect out of it, or does it still kind of get just as hard when it's time to play that role?
Do I think it gets hard, you said?
Yeah, have you written a story that you actually played in the film once you wrote the film?
Yeah, Lazarus, or Hollywood Apocalypse. When I wrote the script, when I wrote it, I ended up writing this one character. Mm-hmm. That's what kind of I created, was this one character. That's how I based it. The whole movie on was this one guy, the way he talks and the way he looks, and I was just doing that as a parody, so to speak, for my business partner. When I was telling him, "Oh, this is one of the characters. This is what he should look like. This is how he should talk," and I didn't have any intentions of being in the movie, and everybody that read the script said, "Hey, this character Beelzebub. Who's playing that?" I said, "Oh, I don't know. I'm still looking." We were casting and all, and everybody kept saying, "That's you. You should play this role." And I said, "No, I'm not going to play him. I want to focus more on telling the story, because this particular movie is a different type of zombie movie. It's a period piece. It's set in 1957. It's a homage completely to Hitchcock. It's got 3 levels. It plays like a George Romero prequel to possibly a loose prequel to Night of the Living Dead. So I wanted to really focus on telling the story as opposed to getting lost in a role. And everybody from Roy Kinnear, from the special effects to my business partner said, "You got to play this character." And I said, "I'll tell you what," because it was a 4-day shoot with that character. Mm-hmm. I said, I'll try it out. We'll put, like, we scheduled it where I would do that one role, like early part of shooting, and then the last 3 days would be towards the end of shooting, which would give me time, because ultimately, if I didn't like the way it felt and looked and all, I was going to recast me.
Oh,
and
okay.
I got talked into keeping it, and everybody likes the film. Okay. Everybody likes the character. So I guess I did okay.
And I'll tell you why I had asked that question, because a lot of times, when you speak to people who are just actors, and they're not writers, then it's pretty simplistic. Like, okay, their role is to act, they take on the character and they do it like that. But what made me ask that question is when you're coming from the side of being the writer and the actor, it kind of makes me wonder, is that any different? Because when you sit down, it's like you don't have the choice for somebody to already have written the character and then you just know to play it. So it's like when you're writing, I was wondering, do you kind of, is it a way to direct it to yourself because you already know that you're going to play it or not? So, that to me, that was an interesting question, because there's definitely 2 different sides in a person who writes films and acts in them, and then people who just act in a film that has been written for them and they never write. I'm assuming, right?
Right.
Okay. Right. Now, 6-time award-winning emerging past, the director's cut. Well, you played the sheriff in that, right?
No. I play a sheriff in another film that I produced.
Mr. Hush.
Yeah, that's actually streaming right now on Netflix, if anybody wanted to see it. But Emerging Past, we won 6 awards. We won 2 Best Pictures, a Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Song, and Best Trailer. But here's the funny thing, Keith.
What?
I was never happy with that film. There was too many hands. The original version I wasn't happy with because there was too many hands in the kitchen on telling me how to edit the film, and it was getting diluted. The storyline of what I wrote. When you're listening to people that financed the film and other people that were getting the ear of the executive producer, next thing you knew, and you're making these cuts that just make no sense, but you have to do it.
Now,
to make a long story short, the movie came out, and I pulled it. And I had an opportunity to pull it and to recut it. So I convinced my executive producer. I said, let me show you how it's supposed to be. Okay. So I showed him the first 15 minutes, and he was blown away completely. And he said, why didn't we do this in the beginning? And I said, you guys didn't let me, and everybody had your ear. You didn't allow me to just tell the story I wanted to tell. So, recutting it, it has a different story arc, different character build-up, different sound, different music, different score. It's a different movie, as well as there's a lot of scenes that you never saw before is in this film, and it's cut in a different way. So it is a brand new movie when it comes out next year, and that's why it's called The Emerging Past Director's Cut. There is there's no confusion with anybody. When they want to watch the movie, they can watch Emerging Past, which it's still floating out there somewhere. Mm-hmm. But the director's cut is the movie that you should see.
Okay, and like you say, at the time when they, when it was done, you were just like, no, this is not what I'm feeling, and because like you say, too many people changed it. How is that when that must be irritating when you put something together and then people start to kind of like you say, put their hands in the pot and then want to redo your work.
Right? It's irritating when you have a relationship with the executive producer as business partners and friends. And he was second guessing things because he had 5 other people telling him things in his ear that had nothing to do with anything. You had a musician and his partner telling them because they wanted to get more music in the movie. So it became, when you watch that movie, to me, it's one big music video. It is not a horror film. It is not what I wrote. It is not the feel to describe what I wrote. Now, Keith, we are in the stages of sound design and scoring the new version. And it is everything that I've envisioned and imagined that this movie was capable of doing, with a new storyline, a new arc. Everything is just perfect. And I love it, and I think the fans that love the original version, because there are fans out there, and I'm never going to take that away from them. Mm-hmm. That there's there's movies for everybody, and there's fans for everybody out there on different projects. But as the director and the writer and the producer of that original version, I was tired of people coming up to me asking me, because the story is so diluted, and you didn't know, because they wanted to make all these different cuts, and making these cuts to make a movie shorter, you got to understand, you can make a movie shorter, but when you're cutting things, you're cutting significant scenes that have to do with the rest of the story. So you got characters like Stephen Jeffries, who was in the movie, making no sense. His scene makes no sense because so it made things bad, and people kept coming up to me and asking me, so the ending, does it mean that she's dreaming? Is she alive? Is she dead? Is she this? Is that? And all I kept saying was, it's whatever you want it to be.
Oh,
because
man.
I had no answer.
Right.
I had no answer. Now with this version, the Emerging Past Director's Cut, there is a beginning a middle, and an end. You will know what this movie is. You will understand what this movie is. You will be afraid of scenes in this movie. They're so disturbing, and it's just everything I wanted. And the score by John Bruner, who did the score for Lazarus, a.k.a. Hollywood Apocalypse, and getting my business partner, David M. Parks, involved with this, he did all the sound design on the original version, and now we produced it and we cut it together. The movie is exactly where I want it, and I'm very happy that it is the movie that's going to come out after Hollywood Apocalypse. So once people see Hollywood Apocalypse, a.k.a. Lazarus, Day of the Living Dead, then they watch The Emerging Past, they're going to be very, very happy. It's a good follow-up to a black and white film noir zombie movie to follow it up with a psychological psychological horror film with vivid color and scary and bloody as hell.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is it going to be some good bleeding in it, and people going to be dying and arms ripping off and?
Not so much arms ripping off, but I can tell you there's intestines being ripped out, and
all right.
There's some cool stabbing effects and some great scares, and it's very it's not a gratuitous. It is not a Saw film, and it's not a Hostel film.
Okay.
It is if I have to describe the Emerging Past director's cut, I would say it's The Shining meets The Exorcist. That's what I would say.
Holy cow! And where can I go find this at?
Well, that's going to come out later in 2015.
Okay.
Hollywood Apocalypse comes out March 3rd, 2015. Everywhere, wherever they sell DVDs and Blu-rays, you'll see a copy of it. And the Emerging Past director's cut will be out, I believe, this summer. Or sometime in the summer or the end of the summer is what I'm being told, and then that'll put us line us up for the next movies, which is going to be Maryland Zombie Hunter.
Oh yeah, we heard. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we get ready to get into that one in just a second. As a matter of fact, I know. Okay, yeah, but the reason I asked that question about when are they coming out, because that's good. Because what I like to do is I like late night. I'm going to make sure I put those on my list for when they come out, because when it comes to late night, those are the type of films I like to see. I want to see some intestines, just a good midnight, like a good midnight horror film to take me to about 2 or 3 in the morning. So that's perfect.
Yeah, it's both movies, Hollywood Apocalypse and The Emerging Past, women and men can enjoy it together. It's not just a man's horror film.
Okay.
Like Lazarus, Day of the Living Dead, a.k.a. Hollywood Apocalypse. I screened it for my family last Christmas first, and there was everybody was there, from my youngest niece, who was 8 or 9, to my dad, who's 82. And there was a lot of ages in between that.
Right.
And believe me, I mean, there's movies, projects that I made that's still out that my family don't like because of whatever.
Right.
They all love this movie because it has something in there for everybody. And then when it played on the big screen at the New York City International Film Festival, it was a sold-out crowd, and you had a lot of people in there from ages, from the teens to my father and my mother were there again, and there's probably people there that were older than my parents. And they all loved it. Because it's not just, like, if you got this age group to sit there and watch a zombie movie, they're going to say, what, are you out of your mind? But the way it's presented, it is a Hitchcock movie. It's a Hitchcock-style movie. It is a film noir detective story set in 1957, and it's pretty authentic, because there's a lot of people that came back and said, how did you do that? How did you capture that era?
Okay.
And you weren't even thought of. I wasn't even born in the 50s or the 60s with that. And, we did some good homework, and we captured something that I think I'm very proud of.
Okay.
And, we've been getting great reviews on Netflix. Not Netflix, I'm sorry, it's not on Netflix. iTunes and Vudu and Amazon streaming, because you can watch Lazarus Day and the Living Dead right now on those platforms.
Oh, okay.
But Hollywood Apocalypse, the title change, that's when it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray March 3rd.
Okay. Now, just a bit about the film festival. You know, they always say, and I know you know this, being from New York, they talk about New York crowds are some of the hardest to please. They're some of the roughest critics. When it comes to the film festival or screening in New York, do you find any differences between whether a screening is in New York opposed to maybe on the West Coast? Like, are the crowds really any rougher to deal with, or? Harder to please as far as the movie's concerned, like.
Yeah, I love going home. Mm-hmm. I love bringing a film home. I mean, the original version of Emerging Cast played at the same film festival and coincidentally won the same film festival. Mm-hmm. But bringing a film home, because I live on the West Coast, and bringing a movie home, it is a tough crowd because you're dealing with friends, family, as well as a lot of people that don't know you, that grew up with you, that went to school with someone that knew you, and they have no problem telling you, hey, your movie sucks, or hey, your movie's really good.
Yeah.
And then you got the people that won't tell you anything. They'll just say, hey, it was really good, but didn't like it, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But New York crowd is real.
Yeah.
They'll tell you if they like something. They'll tell you if they don't like something. Mm-hmm. LA is a different animal. Right. It's an industry town, so they'll also tell you if it's good or bad, but you'll hear about it afterwards, not during, because everybody loves it.
Right.
Oh, it's great. Oh, beautiful. Oh, it's wonderful. Oh, you are spectacular.
Right.
And then they'll post other people, So where New Yorkers, they'll tell you right to your face, the movie sucked.
Yeah, and that's why I asked that. That's what made me ask that question. I can see what you're saying and kind of probably agree with that to a certain extent, right? Because in the West, everybody's doing it, so there's a certain decor or a certain way that people are. But like you're saying, on the East Coast, like maybe New York, they're like, hey, okay, and more outspoken about it because, like you say, it's not so much as a film industry town as much as Broadway. Okay.
Right. It's funny. Everybody on the West Coast is going to tell you they love it because they want to work with you.
Yeah, right.
They're not going to piss you off, and they're not going to say anything because most of the people out here are actors, so they all wanna roll, whether they work with me or somebody. But you got your people that will tell you the real people, and that's what I live by. I'm real. I'm as real as they come. I don't sugarcoat anything. I won't tell you anything if it's not cool. If something's not good, I'm not going to break your heart. But I'm also going to let you know if it's,
if it's garbage. Right. If it's garbage, it's garbage. If it's right. And it's better to be that way because, giving people a false sense of hope and, it's not really fair to do that anyway. So, okay. Right. Now, Merlin Zombie Hunters. Okay. Is that still in the works, or is it about finished or done? And what's going on with Merlin Zombie Hunters? First of all, where did the title come from?
Maryland Zombie Hunter title came from Maryland has a cameo in Lazarus.
Oh.
And, or Hollywood Apocalypse. I'm sorry, I still got to get used to the title at times. And it was always a vision to put her in that film, and because it's during that era, it's in Hollywood, it's during that era.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were talking one day, and my business partner and I were talking, and I said, yeah, it'd be cool if she comes out and we start killing zombies and stuff like that. And we all made a joke, and we just looked at each other and said, oh, that ain't bad. So David, a.k.a. Mitch, he went home and started sketching the about. And then he came back. He goes, "What do you think it is?" And I said, "This is good. I think this should be our next film." Because we were always going to do some sort of parody with it. But then as it got deeper and deeper, there was no more parody. Now it's more of a real film. And it takes place in 1961. We're in pre-production. It plays in the Lazarus Hollywood apocalypse world, but it's not a sequel. It's its own film, but it plays in that world, meaning you'll see some characters from that movie in this movie, because it has to do, think about it, they're both in Hollywood. One was in 57 and this one's in 61, so you're going to see the same things, more or less.
Okay. Now, is Merlin sorry, without giving, because I know you can't give too much away, obviously, but is Merlin hunting any zombies, or is she going to be hunted, or do we got to wait to see that?
No. She is just what it is, Marilyn Zombie Hunter.
Oh.
And she's badass in the film. It's a different type of Marilyn than the vulnerable Marilyns that we all know and love.
Right.
This one is, she's real. She wouldn't think twice into slicing your head off if you crossed her.
And putting in some work. Okay.
It's an action film. It's a horror film. It's an adventure film. It's a suspense film. It's a western. It's one of those event movies that you grew up watching, and they don't make those movies anymore.
Oh,
so
man.
now you're gonna turn around and you're making this movie that's gonna be, this project, this film is gonna be so exciting and fun to watch. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited for people to see it.
Right.
And I'm excited for people to really get into it.
Now, did you did you write, produce, or direct on this one?
I wrote the storyline, and I'm writing the script. And Joe Netter, who I have a cool relationship with, because we're producing a film that he wrote called Hollow Point, and it's a werewolf movie that we're still working on that we're gonna be showing off soon. He's doing some things with the film as well. And together with my business partner, David at Parks, we're going to produce the film. We're also producing it with David Rodriguez, who's got a film out now called Once Upon a Time in Queens, and Ignacio Panapinto, who also did some work for me, worked for us on The Emerging Cast, and he also produced Once Upon a Time in Queens, and we grew up together. So all of us grew up together, some shape, way, form, and we're all doing this movie because it's just an event. And it's such a cool film.
And it's going to be, I have a feeling it's going to be good to see Merlin in a different light. I mean, this is a real switch up, because of just, everybody always, when they think Merlin, they think of the white pretty dress, and like you say, the vulnerable gullibleness. And so it'll be exciting to just take that and just turn it all the way around, and then look at something else. It'll make you go, oh my God, I can't believe Merlin did that, right?
Yeah.
Now, Hollow Point. I want to talk about the show in a minute, but you mentioned Hollow Point, and I have forgot to get into that as a matter of fact, because I used to like werewolf movies. As a matter of fact, they used to be my favorite, but then they just kind of slipped. They didn't have, the ones I was seeing didn't have that old style to them. With Hollow Point, what is that kind of going to bring to the table now? What's that going to be looking like? Is that old setting as well, or?
No, Hollow Point is, I like you, Keith. I'm a big fan of werewolf movies and monster films, and there has not been a werewolf film that made me say, wow.
Right.
Since American Werewolf in London and the original Howling.
Yeah.
So that was our intent. to bring that style, that feel, that energy, that scariness
Thank you.
back with this movie.
Okay, because I stopped being afraid of exactly what you just said, Thomas. Listen, I used to be afraid of werewolves and watching it. It was like they became my favorite animal. And after a while, I wasn't afraid of the werewolves anymore. I don't know if they tried too many times and did it wrong, but thank you for bringing the scary back in Werewolf.
Yeah, because if you look at it, with the movie Twilight, they were all, Twilight is aimed for little girls. And, they made vampires sparkling, and then they made werewolves look like a cartoon wearing cut-off blue denim shorts.
Exactly, okay? Right.
Which I don't understand, because if the guy's turning into a werewolf, where did he get the shorts? And then when he comes back being a werewolf, from a werewolf to a man, he's still wearing denim shorts.
Right.
Meanwhile, he had sweatpants on to begin with, and now he's got blue denim. Anyway, where the CGI, I don't believe, I don't want CGI in the film unless it's really needed, but I think it all has to be practical, and that's why when I met with Roy Kinnear and Soda, we met to talk about Hollow Point, and then we ended up making a trailer for Hollow Point on the Sci-Fi Network with Monster Man. Mm-hmm. But we had an investor that was attached to the film, and he ended up being fake. So we decided to put Lazarus in front and do that first, aka Hollywood Apocalypse. And now you got the Emerging Past coming out after that, and in Maryland, and then we're going to go into Hollow Point. So you will see Hollow Point from us, absolutely. Okay,
good. I'm looking forward to it. Look, you know what, Thomas, I like your lineup, man. I like the lineup of films, you know what I'm saying, that you're talking about. It seems, just the description of them seems once again that it's really kind of bringing it back to that horror feel again. Like you say, maybe not so much, super gore or, the torturous kind, but then that's good because it can give people a way to watch it. Look, being scared and not feeling tortured, like you say, is two different things. And, I think it's important to really understand and remember that detail. So I'm looking forward to those. Now, every Tuesday at 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. is your radio show, right?
Well, every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
We do, it's my radio show. It's called Church's Hollywood Moments. It's on every Tuesday on allradiox.com. It's kind of like Inside the Actor Studio with a kick. We usually have one guest on it, and we talk about their career or whatever they're working on. Tuesday today, which is November 25th, we're going to have Robert Madden on, who is he spent the whole career on television. He was from Soap to Three's Company to Three's Crowd to Fantasy Island to all these old shows that people grew up with. He was always like the center key. So I'm really looking forward to interviewing him.
Oh man, that's going to be awesome. And when did you when did you come out with Church's Hollywood Moments?
Well, I've done radio in the past as a co-host for another show, for another couple shows, and then about a year ago, it was brought to me if I wanted to do my own show, and I actually was brought to me if I wanted to come on as a guest host again with a show called Dino's Prime Cuts, which is also, I believe, on All Radio X. And during the course of doing that, I had a segment, because it was all about music. I had a segment called Church's Hollywood Moments, and it was like a 15, 20-minute segment, and it ended up taking off. And when I had an opportunity to have my own show, we ended up using the Church's Hollywood Moments, and it went from a small segment to an hour show where if anybody missed my show, they can go to Facebook. They can Facebook me, and there's a link on every promo for Church's Hollywood Moments that has the website for past shows. Somebody can sit there and listen to the whole archive of Church's Hollywood Moments, which started about a year ago. So, it's been fun. It's been different. It's a different type of branding. It's also something new, as a filmmaker, writer, producer, director, doing your own radio show and getting your voice out there, because we hit 195 countries. So it's pretty unique, pretty fun, pretty interesting.
Wow, man. That, congratulations to that. I know I like you said, and you gotta, for all the listeners out there listening, as a matter of fact, and Thomas's show has a nice wide variety of episodes that you can go back and listen to, as a matter of fact. I remember when Donna Lee was on the show, as a matter of fact, and I had found out about the show, and I started looking at it then, and I was like, oh wow, like just the whole setup behind it, and just the site that you go through and everything was wonderful. So congratulations to that. Absolutely, Thomas.
Thank you very much.
And,
thank you.
Yeah, and what I'm gonna do, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna start. Look, you've been doing this for a while, longer than me exactly, on the radio. I'm gonna start listening in and listen to the episodes, and get some learning tips from you also. So
stop. You're doing fine.
So yeah. But listen, once again, before we get out of here, let everybody know when they can expect or when they can go, where they can go check out the past projects that you might want them to go look at, and a little bit just about when to expect the next film that you want them to definitely be paying attention to. I know which ones I'm looking for already.
Well, Lazarus Day of the Living Dead, a.k.a. Hollywood Apocalypse, which is the new title, Hollywood Apocalypse. They can check that out March 3rd when it hits everywhere. It will be everywhere you buy your DVDs and Blu-rays. I'm just checking while I got you on the line.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm seeing if it's up on something here.
Okay, yeah.
Hollywood Apocalypse. They can go to Facebook and learn a little bit more about it. They can also find Facebook Lazarus Day of the Living Dead, which is the same movie. It's just March 3rd. Hollywood Apocalypse comes out. Lazarus Day of the Living Dead comes out on DVD as Hollywood Apocalypse. Mm-hmm. But right now, I believe it is streaming on Vudu, Amazon, iTunes as Lazarus Day of the Living Dead. Catch it ahead of time. And then in the summertime, towards the end of the summer, you're going to get the Emerging Past Director's Cut, and follow that by Maryland, Zombie Hunter, and Hollow Point. So it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
If they want to learn a little bit more, go to my website at churchillproductions.com and see what else you got.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and like you said, everybody out there, pretty much if you didn't, get some of that, or you kind of forget, again, just, they can type you in on Facebook and go to the page and things like that, and just kind of follow your post and like you say, the website, and they'll be updated, right?
Yes. They will follow everything and anything is on there.
Okay. All right. And also make sure you don't forget to go check out Church's Hollywood Moments radio show as well. As a matter of fact, that's 8 p.m. tonight Eastern too, right, Thomas?
That's right. Yes, it is.
Yeah, so, check that out.
On allradiox.com.
There you go. Now, look, Thomas, you got so much going on, and you're so busy. Is there anything that you want to bring up that we didn't wrap on, or?
No, just support indie filmmaking and check out our stuff. Also, our musicians, Sugar Parks and the Massacre, who did all the music on Lazarus, a.k.a. Hollywood Apocalypse. Check out their website on Facebook, Sugar Parks and the Massacre, and they got a great sound. If you like our sound and all the songs that you're hearing in the trailers for the movies, check it out. And you can download their music. That's pretty much that.
Okay, that works. Look, quick question too, now that you bring that up. Soundtracks and things like that for movies, are they available to kind of be played on radio, or do you kind of keep those for your station, or they just exclusive to the movies?
No, I mean you could get some of the songs. No, we put out soundtracks as well. Like right now, Hollywood Apocalypse has we release singles.
Okay.
It's probably under Lazarus. I don't know if it's under Lazarus or if it's under Hollywood. So you have to check it because I think I know David M. Parks was working on that. But if you go to iTunes and type in, Sugar Parks, that's SUGAR Parks, PARKS, you should be able to download all those songs from which is from Hollywood Apocalypse.
Okay. And what we'll do too is we'll be in touch as well, Thomas. That way, if there's any tracks that you guys are promoting from any soundtracks or anything like that, go ahead and send them to me, and we can put them in rotation on the station here.
Wow, that's great. I love that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because I'm all over the board with my music here. People listen to here. I know they be like, he going crazy. He going from I go from hip hop to alternative to, I go like all over the place. But hey, that's how I like it, because there's so many different types of good music out there, and it's versatile. And plus, we're a global, like you, I'm a global show. So I really want to satisfy everybody, right? So.
Right, absolutely. You gotta wear many hats. But I do want to say, Keith, I have to give a big shout out, a big thank you to Mr. Joe Williamson.
Oh, yeah.
Without Joe, a lot of this wouldn't be happening.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Joe.
You know what? Absolutely. I want to second that as well. Thank you very much to Joe. Actually, I owe a big shout out to Joe Williamson as well. He's done a lot of helping me, and I greatly appreciate that too. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Thomas. That was a big deal right there.
Well, thank you for having me on as well. I really I enjoyed myself here with you.
Hey, you're very welcome. You're welcome back anytime. And look, I'm honored to have you, because like I say, I've been watching your work. I've been watching your work now for pretty much almost a year now. You know what I'm saying? I had already, kind of heard about you through other people and stuff. So when Joe came to me with the whole idea, I was honored, and I thank him. And again, I thank you as well, and hope to hear from you again soon, right here on the show, Thomas.
Thank you very much, Keith. It was my pleasure to be here, and I'd love to come back and have yourself a great Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, whatever you guys celebrate.
All of that. Hey, I'm gonna just try to celebrate progress. So
there you go. Happy progress.
Yeah.
Happy Festivus.
There you go. All right, Thomas. We'll talk soon, man. Enjoy the show.
Be good. Take care. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. That was Thomas J Churchill. Wonderful, great guy, doing a lot. I'm looking forward to the werewolf films. Okay, I'm looking forward to the werewolf. Hollow Point. I'm looking forward to Merlin Zombie Hunters. Hollywood. I can't remember the name of it.